Hi, today we are going to be practicing using the RACE strategy to respond to constructive responses. Now you may be thinking, what's RACE? Well, to be honest, we have all seen RACE here at Love T. Nolan, okay? In third grade, it will be a little different because you are expected to cite your text evidence and explain your thinking by using sentence starters, okay? So let's go over it. If you look at the anchor chart, we're spelling race out vertically. R-A-C-E. Well, the R stands for restating your question. Restating your question, you are turning your statement, you're turning your question into a statement. A stands for answering the question. So once you restate your question, now you're answering the question. Next, C. C stands for cite text evidence. So in this next sentence, you are using information in the text to support your answer, okay? You can also use sentence starters such as according to the text or the author stated to start that sentence. Lastly, E. E means explain your thinking. Explain how the evidence supports your answer. Give more details. So you're using sentence starters, for example, this means what? Or this shows. Let's practice using our race strategy. All right, we're back. Before we started the instruction, this lesson, Ms. Coleman asked you all to read First Day Jitters, okay? Our question that we are going to use the race strategy is from the book First Day Jitters. So if you look at the top of the screen, our question states, or asks us, who is Mrs. Sarah Jane Hartwell? Okay, we know that's the question because you see a question mark at the end of the sentence. Okay, so now Ms. Coleman is going to teach you how to use the race strategy to respond to that question, okay? Look at our next sentence. If you're looking at it, you see the who is X'd out with a yellow X, and then the word is has a circle around it and the arrow pointing to the end of the sentence. The first step of the race strategy is to restate the question. This is how you restate the question. You take out the question word. In this first sentence, our question word is who. We know our question words because Ms. Coleman just went over it with us on yesterday. Our question words are who, what, when, where, why, and how. Okay? Whenever you see those words starting a sentence, if I need to restate the question, I'm taking it out because I'm not asking a question. I am changing the question into a statement. Okay? So our who is gone. Next is the verb. The verb is circled, okay? We're going to move the verb to the end of the sentence, okay? So now our sentence is starting with our subject. Our subject is Miss Sarah Jane Hartwell. So when we restate that question, our R represents Miss Sarah Jane Hartwell is. We move the verb to the end of the sentence, okay? So if you look at your screen, you see a red rectangle and the R part of our race has been blocked off, and that is Miss Sarah Jane Hartwell is. That is the end of the R for race. So once we have restated the question, our A in the word race represents answering the question, okay? We can't leave it at Miss Sarah Jane Hartwell is. That's not answering our question, so now we have to answer it. So if you look at the blue rectangle, it's like two rectangles put together. One is longer, one is shorter. But this is how you answer the question that has been restated. So we now answer the question. Using our book, Mrs. Sarah Jane Hartwell is, who is she? She was, or is, the new teacher. That is the end of the A for race. With A, remember, all you do is restate the question and answer it. Now with C. C represents citing text evidence. When you're citing text evidence, you're telling me as your reader where you got your answer from. Where did you get your answer to your question? Remember, your answer is the new teacher at school. Sarah Jane Hartwell is the new teacher at school. Well, how do you know she's the new teacher at school? Where did you get that answer from? The text. So we can use sentence starters. If you look at our anchor chart, you see in a rectangle, according to the text, comma, or the author stated, comma. I am going to use according to the text because I got my answer right from the text. And what did the text say? Well, according to the text, Mrs. Hartwell was introduced to the class as the new teacher. If I go back to my text, it says, the class looked up at Mrs. Burton as Mrs. Burton cleared her throat. Class, attention please, said Mrs. Burton. When the class was quiet, she led Sarah to the front of the room and said, class, I would like you to meet your new teacher, Mrs. Sarah Jane Hartwell. So I didn't just make that answer up. I got that answer specifically from the text. So the C in race represents where did you get your answer from? And I got my answer from the text. And I explained what the text said, which brings me to our last letter, E. All right, our last letter. E says, explain your thinking. It says, explain how the evidence supports your answer. We already know where we received our evidence from. We received our evidence from the text, okay? We went back into the passage and actually read where the principal introduced Mrs. Hartwell to the class as the new teacher, okay? So now we're just explaining exactly what I just said, okay? If you look at the rectangle on the anchor chart, there's two sentence starters. This means or this shows. Ms. Coleman is going to use this shows as a sentence starter. It says, this shows that Mrs. Hartwell is the new teacher at school. Now pause. It may be a little confusing. So you may be wondering, well, how does that show Mrs. Hartwell is the new teacher? Well, if we go back to C, we have already stated the evidence that proves Ms. Hartwell is the new teacher. We went back to the text to find that evidence, and we showed and responded that Mrs. Hartwell was introduced by the principal, meaning she was the new teacher at school, okay? So here are our steps for the race strategy. On the next slide, we're going to put them all together as a complete response. Now we're going to practice using the race strategy with a passage. The title of this passage or text is called Elephants. How do you protect your skin from the sun? Many people use sunscreen. Elephants have sensitive skin. They use a form of sunscreen to protect themselves from the sun. They throw mud and sand all over themselves. Elephants will protect their calves from the sun by standing over them while they are sleeping. Elephants know how to avoid the sun. The question that we will be restating and using the race strategy is, how are elephants intelligent animals? Use evidence in the text to answer the question. Okay, so now let's practice using the race strategy. Our question again, how are elephants intelligent animals? So our R, remember, it stands for restating the question. Remember, we take out the question word, we take it completely out, exit out, and we move the verb. Now on the first slide, there was a hint to where you move your verb. This time, our verb isn't going to the end of the sentence. The verb follows the subject. The subject of a sentence is what the sentence is about. This sentence is about elephants, okay? So now I know my subject, I know my verb will go behind the subject. So this is how we restate this question. Elephants are intelligent animals because. We use the word because as a transition word because now we need to answer our question. And here is our answer. They know how to protect themselves from the sun. So if we put the R and the A together, this is how it reads. Elephants are intelligent animals because they know how to protect themselves from the sun. Now our C. Remember, the C stands for citing evidence, okay? How do we know that they're intelligent? Because they know how to protect themselves from the sun. Where did we find that information? Well, we found it in the text. So I'm changing my starter sentence up, okay, my stem. I'm going to say, the text states, now I'm telling you where I found it. The text states in quotations. Why is this part in quotations? Is because I'm getting this information directly from the text, okay? So the text states, they throw mud and sand all over themselves. They also stand over their calves to protect them from the sun. That is evidence proving that they are intelligent, okay? They are smart enough to know how to put mud on their bodies to protect themselves from the sun and to stand over their calves so they won't get hot. And E. E means explain. You're explaining your evidence. How does this show that the calves are intelligent? Well, based on the text, elephants use mud and sand as sunscreen and block the sun from their calves. That is how we know that they are intelligent animals. Now is your turn. I want you to use this strategy and go practice responding to our short response from our reading lesson today. Bye, guys.